All right. And good morning. Welcome in on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And I am your host, John Sheps, at Coach Sheps on the Twitter. And with me is my guy, my main man, back with me again this Wednesday morning, Justin Stevens. Justin at JustinFF_. Justin, what is happening?
Good morning, John. Good morning. I've kind of felt a little under the weather the last couple days, and wouldn't you know it, right before we go live, I'm suddenly feeling great. So I don't know what it is about this show, but it brings great things.
It's the power of the podcast, my brother.
There it is. There it is.
It's got healing powers. It's got healing powers, and it also has the power to make you a better fantasy football player. That's what we're trying to do here. But if we heal you in the interim, that's all good as well. This morning is episode number 78. We're going to be discussing players we are fading this redraft season. I thought this was a great idea because I just dropped my all dudes and all value teams, and I suggest you go back and listen to that. I believe that was episode number 76.
Yes.
Okay, because number 77 was our news roundtable. So if you want to get caught up on everything that happened last week, episode 77 is for you. But if you want the episode that goes hand in hand with this episode, I suggest you go listen to episode 76, because I'm telling you about the players that I'm buying, like the top tier guys, the guys that I think are going to lead each of their positions. And I'm also telling you guys that are very low ADP or decently low on ADP that I think are going to be on the all value team. So go back, listen to episode 76. You can listen to this one first. It doesn't matter which order you listen to. Maybe you want to listen to the guys that you're going to fade first because it's going to get in your head. Don't draft so-and-so. Wait on so-and-so. All right, that's what we're trying to do. But again, you can follow me on the Twitter at Coach Sheps. And like I said, Justin's at JustinFF_. And the show is at Toilets to Titles. The reason I bring that up multiple times is because Twitter is a great way to get in touch with us. Okay, you can reach out to us. Right now is grind time. You got guys in your leagues. You got sharks in your leagues trying to trade you some bum for your stud. If you're questioning it, you can reach out to us on there. We'll get back to you. We'll let you know, hey, that guy's a jerk. That's a terrible trade offer. All right. And then we'll ask you, hey, is he sensitive? Then maybe don't call him a jerk, because then he's not going to send you any trade offers in the future, and you don't want to break up trade negotiations long term. But these are all things we will discuss on Twitter. We get very in depth. Ways you can listen to the show. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on YouTube. We are on Podbean. We are on Spotify. We are on Facebook. We have 2 Facebook pages, our Toilets to Titles page and When a Family Breaks, which is our sports cards and memorabilia buying, selling, and trading. So go check all of that out. Please also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like button on our latest episodes. Throw us some comments. If you're liking the show, if we're helping you out, that would be greatly appreciated. That helps us out. I believe we're at 305 subscribers. I'd love to get I'm hoping we get to about 500 by the time this season is over. I really hope so. I think we went up 100 this summer, mainly due to Justin grinding on the off-season team breakdowns. But I would love to hit 500. So if you're, but also if you subscribe, hit the bell. There's a little bell on YouTube. It tells us when we go live, tells you when we go live, and then you could be in here with us in the comments, throwing us questions like the great Uncle Steve or Rich Gonzalez, those guys, and Joe Clark. Those guys are famous for being in here in the chat, so you could all be in there. Ring the bell. That's right. Just ring the bell. Also, Apple Podcasts, if you're a subscriber to that, please throw us a 5-star review, throw us a, comment, whatever you like about the show. Whatever, just something good that helps us. That helps, I guess, the algorithm rather. It helps us, when people search fantasy football, pushes us closer to the top. Check out toiletstotitles.com. We got articles on there. We're releasing new content every few days, a bunch of articles. We're all writing stuff. I suggest you check that out. And then another way to help us out, patreon.com/toiletstotitles. Tier 1, $3 per month. Get you into our T2T, Toilets to Titles team Discord group chat. It's over on Discord. So I had said earlier, follow us on the Twitter. You could reach out to us on there. But if you get into our Discord chat, 24/7 advice. We are in there 24/7. We got guys all over the world in that Discord chat on the Toilets to Titles team. Somebody is always available. All right. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, you're like, man, should I drop so-and-so? I really want to drop this guy. Just, hey, guys, you think I should drop this cat? I'm considering picking up this guy. And boom, boop, boop, boop. We got you back. All right. Tier 2, $5 per month, gets you early access to our waiver wire episodes. We're all going to be rotating throughout the season, giving you waiver wire episodes. And I've been saying this. I don't even know if we're going to release these bonus episodes to the real world. You might just have to be in the Patreon to get these, all right? And they'll come out Tuesday night, so you can set those waiver priorities. Get you entry into our Frankenstein Listener League next year, which one of those leagues we're going to be doing a draft live from the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton next year. So if you get in that, you'd be like, hey, I want to be there. I'm going to be at Canton. I want to get in that draft. And we can put you on that list of people that we are going to be drafting with in Canton. It also gets you into our Discord group chat. Tier 3, the final tier is $10 per month. Gets you one-on-one roster analysis from anybody on the Toilets to Titles team. All right. Get you free entry into our Frankenstein Listener League next year. Get you into the T2T team group Discord chat and get you access to those waiver wire episodes. So, man, that felt a little long-winded this morning, but maybe it's because the coffee hasn't fully dripped into my system. But before we get into the main show, Justin, do you have anything going on right now with your drafts? Or I know we're probably going to talk about some of that stuff during our episode, but is there anything you'd like to, bring up, discuss? You're muted, my friend.
We were discussing the Frankenstein League before we came on, so we could talk about the Frankenstein League just a bit if you'd like, because that's our brand. That's what we want to get out there.
Yeah. I think Ben's on the clock.
You guys need to stop with that. That poor boy. I bet he had an anxiety attack several times. But no. Yeah. So Frankenstein, I've got. I'm actually going to be up here pretty soon. Our boy Eric, one of our new writers for the show, is up right now for 2, and then it's coming right back at me. So I don't want to drop any teasers for who I'm targeting here, but
nobody's up. Nobody's up. No, nobody.
You know what? Yeah, let's just do it.
If there is somebody though, it's going to be Uncle Steve. So if
I'm up before him. I'm up before Steve.
You're good.
So I've got Gabriel Davis in the queue here, which actually the more that I stop and think about it is great because I already have Josh Allen as well. So I do already have Stephon Diggs. I went wide receiver heavy. I've got Diggs, DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, and Adam Thielen. But for those of you that don't know, this Frankenstein League is set up a lot like a vampire league in that the guy that I'm playing against has a lot of running backs. So whichever one of us wins are going to get to steal a player from the other. So one of our teams are going to look really good because he has both Christian McCaffrey and I forget the other guy. So Saquon Barkley. So yeah, so I'm pretty excited about the Frankenstein, man. Even like last year, I lost early and often, and I still had a hell of a lot of fun all season long, going through and watching and seeing how the teams just form, and we've changed up the scoring format, so it's exciting, and it's going to be a lot of fun this year. So if you're watching this and you want to get in on next year's Frankenstein, you may as well go ahead and start now because we're going to start trying to fill even more divisions. We're up to a 3-copy league with 3 divisions now. I am kind of trying to envision 5 next year. Yeah. That's what I'd like to see.
With 2 drafting in Canton.
Yeah, 2 live in Canton. Yeah, yep. If I go to Canton, now you're talking about possibly trying to go to the Senior Bowl, man. I don't know if I can do 2 trips in 1 year, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I want to go to Mobile. Honestly, the Senior Bowl has been like a dream of mine for probably 6 or 7 years. I've wanted to get down to the Senior Bowl. You get access to the players, and you always have guys that break onto the scene at the Senior Bowl, and I want to be there when they do. You think about Cooper Kupp, Senior Bowl, Kareem Hunt, Senior Bowl, just guys that Terry McLaurin, Senior Bowl. I want to be there when these cats break out. I really do. But man, Frankenstein, when you say change up the scoring, we refined the scoring. The scoring, right. all of the thought, the foundation was there. We didn't change really any of the thought. What we changed was we corrected the input in my fantasy league. So, yeah. The foundation was there, but we just didn't really put it in correctly. Now it's in correctly. And there's 3 divisions. We were up from 14 teams. Now we got 36 teams. And that's why this is another reason it's going to be a blast, even when you're losing, because you're going to be, we got the interaction with the other teams. We have a group chat for that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Frankenstein. My team is pretty solid as well. Like I'm feeling very comfortable about it. I'm in the Unity Bowl right now. I'm drafting for that. And you talked about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley went 8th pick in the 2nd round. And I feel like I know he might miss, 2 or 3 weeks, but if you can stomach it, I still feel like he's top of the 2nd, so maybe that's not that far off, but I feel like he's a guy who shouldn't go any further than the top of the 2nd. But speaking of guys that shouldn't go any further, this is a super flex league. I drafted Josh Allen with the 6th pick, which I already felt was great value. Went Mahomes, Kamara, McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, it's my guy. I got him with Frankenstein, Dalvin Cook, and then Josh Allen. So only one quarterback went before Josh Allen. So I had my pick of the litter. Yeah. After that, it went Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. So 4 quarterbacks. So then it was on, but then it was off again. Travis Kelce, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry. And then here's what shocked me. And that's super shocking, but then went Tom Brady. And there's 2 guys on the board that I was hoping that were quarterbacks. I was hoping with. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Our Ben?
No. Tom Brady just went. I don't know who.
No.
I didn't say Ben.
Oh, maybe you said then. Okay, sorry.
Ben, yeah, I'm sorry. No. Our Ben. Ben's in your head because he's on the clock. So I was hoping that he would fall. One of these 2 guys would fall to me, and I didn't think Brady would go ahead of them. And that's Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott. So Brady went. And I get it. There's an argument to be said why Brady should go over Justin Herbert. But Dak, I think that's silly. So Dak fell to me at the 7th pick in the 2nd round. And he went after Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert went before Dak. So people are really scared about that injury, and I'm not. I think the dude's ready to rock and roll. But I think that's enough discussion about what's going on in our other leagues. Why don't we get into some players we are fading? How does that sound?
That sounds wonderful. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to start with my fades. The first one I'm fading is TREY Sermon. I get it. In Dynasty, he's a buy for me. But the lifespan of running backs, I feel, isn't that long to begin with. He's got a bunch of injury history, like a bunch of small little injuries, right? Like I think in college he had, ankle sprains, patella sprain in 2018, in 2019. Then he had that shoulder injury in 2021 in the first quarter of the national championship game that took him out. So no really massive injuries. But then he missed week 2 of preseason with an ankle injury. So he's got ankle injuries, knee injuries. I also feel like San Francisco is a team where, I've seen with Shanahan, it's not a one running back team. Maybe that's the goal, but it's always like 3 or 4 guys throughout the season. Guys you never heard of come up and play 2 or 3 weeks. Like Jeff Wilson, I never heard of him before. And then he's on my radar last year. So I could see TREY Sermon being a great play 5 or 6 weeks this season. But if you're drafted, he's a flex. In my opinion, TREY Sermon is a guy you draft as a flex play. If you're drafting him to be your running back too, I think you're putting yourself in a bad position. Justin?
Yeah, so, how shocking is it that the 49ers have a running back that's having knee and ankle issues? So, in my mind, I don't know college players all that great, unless they're one of the really good ones. And, not that TREY Sermon was a bad college player by any means, but I tend to fade rookies anyway. And Raheem Mostert is more than effective when he's healthy. So, all signs point to him being healthy, right now. So I see no reason to try to reach on a running back. He's going to be a guy you're going to be able to pick up off of waivers after the other running backs start getting hurt anyway.
There you go. So don't, again, flex play, bench guy who you can put in there a few weeks, and then maybe I'm wrong. That could always happen, but that's just what I'm expecting going into the season. Another player I'm fading is Tyler Lockett. I feel like, DK Metcalf's going to continue to emerge, but Dwayne Eskridge is a guy who does a lot of things very similar to Tyler Lockett, and he's got decent draft capital. I'm not saying it's going to be a 50-50 split between Tyler Lockett and Dwayne Eskridge, but 70-30, is still a lack of production from what we were seeing from Tyler Lockett in the past. And also, Tyler Lockett has always been a guy where he has like 3 games a season where he just goes bananas. And then he's got games where he disappears, where Russell Wilson just targets somebody else. And, now, so you throw in Dwayne Eskridge, you throw in Tyler Lockett just having a history of disappearing. I'm just not buying him. He's another guy. Lockett's a flex for me. Lockett, if this is a 3-receiver league, so you start 3 receivers, he's a guy who I want to start as my flex. So as my 4th receiver, I'm not starting him above a 4th receiver. And, so I think Dwayne Eskridge is going to eat into his touches, and he'll just continue to be a guy who disappears at times. Justin.
So I was trying to bring up his game log here from last year. So with Tyler Lockett, I know he had a pretty serious injury last year, that leg injury towards the end of the season, and he seemed to really slump off the face of the map after that, or like towards the middle of the season. And then he picked it back up towards the end. Honestly, he was hit or miss throughout most of his career, but I was very impressed with him last year when he was healthy, when he didn't have that leg injury. I'm all about Tyler Lockett, but at the same time, I'm not surprised that some people are fading him for that reason. With all the weapons that they have right now, and like you said, Eskridge coming in as well. I drafted Eskridge in the rookie 2nd round of the Frankenstein, so I feel you. This one doesn't surprise me that you're fading him, but I'm not personally fading him. I love that when he's healthy.
We need that. We need contrarian opinion. And so Justin's not fading Lockett. I'm fading Lockett. Jernigan's in here. Welcome to the chat, Jernigan. We're going to discuss your fades shortly because all the team helped us out with this episode. We got fades from everybody. Everybody on the Toilets to Titles team, who they're flushing, right? Who they're fading. Jernigan said Eskridge popped on tape. No real competition at Western Michigan, but he's got skills, sneaky dynasty play. There was a cat who came out of Western Michigan last year named Levante Bellamy, running back. And I was drafting him in Devy leagues. He was another dude, just super explosive, but at the running back position, a little small. And I thought he was going to be the stud to come out of Western Michigan. Not the case. I think he's still in Denver, but he's on a practice squad. A year later, Western Michigan produces Dwayne Eskridge, and I believe it goes in the 3rd round. And it's just, who would have thought 2 years in a row they got guys that I'm very intrigued in that are super explosive. If you have time today and you just want to watch some film, go watch Levante Bellamy's film at Western Michigan. I want to say like 2 years ago. Dude can fly, but as of now, he's not doing anything in the NFL. All right, another player. This next one might be a little lazy for me, but it's DeAndre Swift. I have him in a keeper league, and I have to keep him because we're moving to a dynasty format, and it's half PPR. I drafted him in the 9th last year, and you take away 4 rounds prior, so I get to keep him at a 5th. I drafted CeeDee Lamb last year in the 8th. I get to keep him in a 4th. It's only 10 teams though, so that kind of changes the rounds, where they go. I am keeping him, but I was very close to dropping him. It's dynasty, so I'm hoping long term, but I'm just worried. I'm worried about the Lions already. I'm not comfortable with them. And Jernigan's in the chat, so Jernigan can pop in. He's a Lions fan, so talk me off the edge. I'm a little nervous. He seems a little banged up. I don't know how they're going to use him. I was super high on Kerryon Johnson. Maybe that's another reason why, I'm having like buyer's remorse. I know they're not tied together, but KJ was in Detroit. I'm just nervous, man. He's got that groin injury. He hasn't practiced too much. The coach is already coming out. And I think the coach is coming out and saying, he's a little weary of DeAndre Swift, because he hasn't played. I think maybe he's just trying to light a fire under his butt and get him going. I don't really think it affects his playing time, but it could. So I'm definitely nervous. I'm definitely fading DeAndre Swift. He's another guy. Maybe I'd like him as my running back 2 if I went wide receiver heavy, but I don't like him as my running back 2 if I'm going running back early. He's like a guy who, if he falls to me and there's not many running backs available, I'm like, yes, he fell to me. But if I just don't want to take him when there's, some other decent options there. Like I'm definitely taking Dobbins over him for sure. And there's a list of other running backs I could have prepared, but I didn't, that I take over him. But I'm definitely fading DeAndre. So what are your thoughts, Justin?
So one theme I noticed whenever I look through the show notes and see that everybody laid down a couple players, everybody chose at least one that I was kind of surprised with, and this is the one that you chose that I was kind of surprised with. Um, uh, and honestly, listening to you talk about it, it sounds like your biggest reasoning is that he plays for the Lions, which is a pretty huge factor.
Right.
Like,
he hasn't practiced. He's got that groin. Like it just, I don't know what's going on. You know,
I love the guy. I absolutely love the guy. Even in redraft, I'm perfectly okay with him being. I have him, I believe, as a low end RB1, but I've been drafting him a lot as a high end RB2, and I go RB heavy early. So I typically get him in the 3rd round, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I love the guy. I'm not going to fade him.
Awesome. All right, finally, Tom Brady. I think you're gonna like this one. In the league I'm in, the charity league, the Unity Bowl, he went before Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott in Superflex League. I definitely don't think he should go ahead of Dak Prescott. You know, maybe you could argue he's going to get ahead of Justin Herbert, but we were talking in the Titles chat yesterday. You could be a part of your Patreon, level 1, $3 a month. You could be in this chat having this discussion with us, and I'm telling you, it's awesome in there. Great things are going on. We're all having a blast.
Cheaper than a breakfast burrito.
We're having breakfast burritos. That's what about a breakfast burrito?
I said $3 a month. It's cheaper than a breakfast burrito.
It's cheaper. I thought you said we're all having breakfast burritos. So I don't know. It's talking about breakfast burritos. Where the hell is that coming from? But it is cheaper than a breakfast burrito. But we were discussing Tom Brady and Matt, you know, from Down Under Dynasty. He's all in on Tom Brady, and I get it. You know, Tom Brady has been doing it, but the clip has to come. It has to come. I get it. He's gone further than anybody expected. We're all believing he's got superhuman strength. It's inevitable. The cliff is going to happen. He has a solid core of wide receivers. You know, he's got Mike Evans. He's got Chris Godwin. He's got Antonio Brown. He's got Rob Gronkowski. The weapons are there. But when the cliff hits, I don't think it matters if the weapons are there. You know, I don't. And it's going to happen. He's got a phenomenal defense. They don't have to, like, keep Tom Brady off the field, you know, like, or rather keep him out of harm's way. And the way to keep him out of harm's way, play great defense, you know, run a little bit more than you're expecting to. And I think Ronald Jones is emerging. You got Leonard Fournette, who's a great number 2. So I'm not buying Tom Brady. If I'm playing Superflex, I would like Brady as my quarterback 2, not my quarterback 1. Okay. That's just, you know, and maybe that's not a huge fade, but clearly some people feel Tom Brady is their quarterback 1, and that's fine. If you're super flex and you're going other positions early, but me personally, I'm very happy if he's my quarterback 2, but I am not. If he's my quarterback 1, I'm a little concerned. All right, Justin, what are your thoughts?
So about 7 or 8 years ago, I got a Labradoodle, and I put up on Facebook like this huge tournament. It had like 300 different names for people to vote on. His name ended up being Dexter. The Facebook voted in Dexter, which was, you know, that's and still is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. But Tom Brady was one of the names on the list, and I'm a Colts fan, right? I put that on the list just so that I could yell at him every time he did something stupid. So obviously I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but here's one thing that I have to give the man some props for. He is really good at taking advantage of situations. Like, he takes what the defense gives him. He prepares properly for every single game, so he knows what he has to do. He knows his limitations, right? And I believe that if you look at the playoffs last season and you look at towards the end of the season, any tougher defenses they faced, he did not sling the ball around like crazy. He wasn't the Tom Brady of old because he knows that he's not the Tom Brady of old. And I feel heavily that they're going to lean a lot on that rushing attack and that defense. And it's going to be situational football for Brady, which will make him more efficient. But I don't think there's going to be a ton of opportunity. So there's no way I'm taking Tom Brady in redraft as my QB1 in any format. And honestly, I'm not even getting him in redraft because of that, because most people are still taking him as a low-end RB or QB1. If I could get him as a QB2 in a super flex, then absolutely I would go for it. But so I don't have any Tom Brady, and it's not because I'm a hater.
Man, so I wonder if Dexter knows that you were considering naming him Tom Brady so that you can yell at him. Because that's something Dexter would hold, like, if he's staying true to form, that's something Dexter would hold on to. If anyone who listens to this show is familiar with the show Dexter, he might hold that against you. He might come and get you. All right, let's move on to the some fades from some others on the show, and then we'll finish your fades. All right, Nate at Nate_Dirt19. So it's a member of the Toilets and Titles team. Me, Justin, and Nate are the original, founders of this show, this channel. Nate's going to be on every Tuesday with us, and he's also going to be on there Wednesday nights with Rich doing Dollars to Deuces, which is going to be a gambling show. So make sure, you subscribe to the channel so that you can watch those and win yourself some money. But here's who Nate is fading. Said he's fading Austin Ekeler. He's a high-flying AFC West minus the Raiders. Sorry, Rich. They'll be throwing the rock to score in a hurry. And Hair Bear, which is what he calls Justin Herbert, isn't dumping it off to Ekeler every time. So he thinks they're going to be throwing a lot. Eckler's not going to be catching all the balls. He's not going to be getting a lot of yardage on the ground. So Nate is fading Austin Ekeler. Justin?
This is kind of like your Tyler Lockett to me. Like, I wouldn't fade him. I'm big on Ekeler. I think he's going to have a hell of a season, but at the same time, because of his history, because of that offense and what they want to do with Justin Herbert, I could totally see people fading him. So I could definitely be wrong about Ekeler for sure.
I drafted Ekeler as my running back 2 last year in a league where I got Zeke in the first. It's non-PPR, standard scoring. I got Zeke in the first, Ekeler in the second, and I thought, man, I'm set. Like, I'm going to crush it. Dak goes down. Zeke has a subpar season, and then Ekeler went down. So the first time I ever got my hands on Ekeler kind of disappointed me. But I think, man, if I can get him as my running back 2 in a PPR league, I'm feeling okay. So I'm not fading him that much, but I hear what you're saying, Nate. So the next guy he's fading is another running back, Najee Harris. Large Benjamin. All right, so Ben Roethlisberger wants to throw the ball all over and not be under center. Their offensive line is not good. Harris will be a monster, I'm sure, but not this season. So he is out. He is out completely on Najee Harris in redraft. And I also have no shares of Najee Harris. So I'm not buying. I'm just rather watching. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want anything to do with it. Like, I might be wrong, but I'm taking a step back from Najee Harris. Justin?
Right. Nate has such a way with words, doesn't he?
Large Benjamin.
Large Benjamin. Yeah, no, so I told you that there's one for almost everybody that surprises me. This one surprises me. I got to tell you. I mean, I feel like he is the running back in that backfield, and I think he's going to be a workhorse. So regardless of how much they want to throw it, they still have to run it. And it's not like Najee Harris can't catch the ball out of the backfield, right? So I don't understand this one at all. I'm completely on Najee Harris. And so, yeah, Nate, just keep passing them up and send them my way.
Yeah, we should have done this before the Frankenstein Listener League draft so we could kind of know who's not picking who, so we know who we can wait on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, Alex is up, Alex_FF, and he is going to be on the Blitz this season with Justin and Mike Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. call-in show. So, again, make sure you subscribe for that because all of your start-sit fantasy questions leading up to the game, they're going to be answering for you live, okay? So Alex is fading Derrick Henry. He said at an ADP of running back 4 and 5th overall, according to Sleeper ADP, he would need to repeat 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. He's fading him at this ADP because the draft capital is his ceiling, and it is highly unlikely that he repeats the type of performance he had in 2020. I'm with that, Alex. I got no Derrick Henry. I get that. I don't think he can outperform where he is or perform up to standards. So what are your thoughts on this, Justin?
This is the one that surprises me for Alex because I'll tell you why. I get it. I totally agree with all of that. But running backs are so hard to come by sometimes, especially a workhorse. And if you have to pay up for the guy, you got to pay up for the guy. Like if you fade on him and you push him back a few more running back spots, you're not going to get him, and you're going to end up getting somebody like maybe a Nick Chubb that's in more of a split. Because you decided to wait on a Derrick Henry. So, and not that Chubb is by any means a
bathroom
slot.
Bathroom board. Nick Chubb finishes higher than Derrick Henry, PPR.
Okay, put it on the board. Put it on the board.
You continue. I'll throw it on the board.
So So I'm okay with taking Derrick Henry and paying a little bit more on him, and knowing I'm not going to get that RB2 overall or number one in the league in rushing again, because there's still a chance you might get that. Also, like we can't just throw out we can't just say now that they have Julio, which will help open up their offense even more and give them more scoring opportunities. And more goal line opportunities for Derrick Henry, to just assume that he's going to fall back. So he likely will, because of the natural regression. But at the end of the day, like I'm willing to draft him as an RB3 overall and get an RB6 overall out of him.
Yeah, most of the leagues I play in that are redraft are super flex. So at those spots where some people have to take Derrick Henry, I'm taking quarterback, so it's kind of protecting me from, having to go. So he's not falling to me anyway. So I don't even have to worry about it, But all right, so Kyle Pitts is the second guy he's fading. He loves Pitts for dynasty, but for redraft, he is a full fade unless somehow he falls to the 7th round. Tight ends take time to acclimate to the NFL, and he would also need to beat the best rookie tight end season to pay back value for where he is being drafted. So he has to have, for where he's being drafted at his ADP, he has to have the best rookie tight end performance of all time. And I believe the current guy who occupies that is Mike Ditka. So it hasn't been done in a long time. It's not something that happens a lot. So I get it. Yeah. I'm fading Kyle Pitts unless it's like a tight end premium league where they're getting points for first down, similar to Frankenstein. Maybe I'll be a little higher on him. But in regular redraft formats, yeah, I'm fading him as well. Justin?
I feel that one, and I agree. I do think since he plays more of that hybrid wide receiver role, that he will have more of an opportunity to. I don't think it'll take him as long to acclimate like most tight ends, and he'll be used a lot in the slot, and he'll have a lot more scoring opportunity. But he does still have to aggressively outscore what we anticipate him to score to hit his ADP. So I agree with that.
Aggressively outscored. All right, Jernigan is up. At Mike Jernigan 79, the newest member of Toilet's Title. So he's going to be hopping on the shows this season. He's going to be, writing some articles. So Jernigan's going to be all over the place. All right. And who he is fading. Rich isn't going to like this. He's fading Josh Jacobs. All right. Jacobs has made it his living as a volume rusher. Kenyon Drake is going to eat into that volume in a significant way. The O-line isn't what it was a few years ago. And then playing in a division with Kansas City, Denver, and the Chargers, and having a below-average defense, they will more than likely be playing from behind for much of the season, taking the ball out of the running back's hands, except for dump-off. So Josh Jacobs. Now, I don't know if I could fade Josh Jacobs any more than I already was, but if you're not, this is a wake-up call to be, so if you've been out of the loop, you haven't really been, completely staying up on, fantasy takes throughout this offseason, this is a wake-up call. It's good that you listened to this episode. You cannot be drafting Josh Jacobs anything other than a flex play. Like Josh Jacobs, I think if you get a running back 1 week out of him, excellent. But I don't think that's something you could depend on. He is definitely a flex play at the top. Justin?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And Jernigan is a Lions fan, so he knows what a bad player looks like. So great job, Jernigan. Speaking
of Lions fans and knowing what a bad player looks like, he's fading Kenny GOLLADAY. All right, because he left the Lions. That's the reason he's fading him. No, that's not the reason. GOLLADAY has made a career from being the only show in town with the Lions. Now that he's in offense with Barkley, Shepard, Slayton, and Ingram, not to mention Daniel Jones' rushing ability, Kenny GOLLADAY should see a significant drop in workload compared to what he has been used to. He's also a little banged up. This is his first camp with Daniel Jones, and he's a high ball, he's a large catch radius. So I don't think being banged up and not working on that rapport with Daniel Jones should really affect, their ability to link up due to that high catch radius. But maybe he hasn't completely earned Daniel Jones's trust yet for Daniel Jones just to put it up. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some balls to go around. So I agree with you, Jernigan. I'm fading Kenny GOLLADAY. What are you doing, Justin?
This is the one guy that didn't throw one that surprised me, because I feel like Saquon and Evan Ingram are the only two Giants that I am not fading at their ADPs.
I'm buying Ingram. Everybody's like, I get it.
I agree.
Ingram hasn't crushed it. Ingram, where he's going, he's like the 13th, 14th tight end off the board.
He doesn't have to crush it.
What's that?
Yeah, you're right. He doesn't have to crush it.
No, and the potential is there. So be the cleanup guy. If people are going to let Evan Ingram fall to you, pick. Just what an easy way. So he's startable. Like every single week, he's startable. If you don't take a top 4 tight end, then everybody else after that is essentially has the same hit rate.
Right.
So throw Evan Ingram in there. I think he's got a high floor. All right. And then the ceiling's there as well. So, I'm buying Evan Ingram. I know that's not the name of this episode. This is the guys we are fading. But I am buying Evan Ingram. All right. Steve Spack, at Steve Spack on the Twitter. He heads our social media team at Toilets to Titles. So Steve Spack, great dude, great member of the team. He's fading Julio Jones, and I'm with him on this one. 32 years old with a lot of wear and tear, will be the second option in the pass game in a run-heavy offense. A.J. Brown is the alpha. Julio is still a good option, but I'm drafting him later than usual. On our rankings that are over at FusionFFB.com, that on ToiletsToTitles.com, there's a link that brings you to those rankings. I keep moving Julio down. I think I have him like one spot ahead of Laviska Shenault, which kind of sounds crazy. I think I got Shenault at 19th and Julio at 18th. So I just keep moving him like one spot down. Maybe he proves me wrong, but I am fading Julio Jones. I don't have much of him this season. Justin?
Yeah, I agree. I think from a football standpoint for the Titans, and as a Colts fan, I'm scared to death of this signing because of how much it can open up that offense. But I'm in agreement that Julio as an individual for fantasy purposes is definitely somebody that we want to fade at his current ADP. But yeah, as a team, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm going to enjoy watching that offense work. So they don't work too hard against my Colts.
The next player he is fading is Amari Cooper. He said Dak is a concern with all of the consulting and issues with his shoulder. I'm not buying it. He's not a concern to me. Lamb will become the primary target. I believe that. And you still have Gallup. There's a possibility that Gallup resigns after the season and Dallas takes the out on Cooper's contract. So that's dynasty. We're talking redraft, but I do hear that there. I'm not fading Cooper. I think where you can get Cooper, you're drafting him, I want to say like in the mid tier of wide receiver 2s, and he's still that dude. Cooper, I was watching Hard Knocks last night, and he's teaching CD things. Like CD's excellent. Like he's fast. He's a great route runner, but Cooper just gets open. So like he is a wizard. He is such a technician. So I'm not fading Cooper. Steve's fading Cooper. Justin, are you fading Cooper?
Yeah, his ADP is at the end of the 4th round as the 18th overall wide receiver, and I think he has real potential to, at the very least, break into the top 12. Like real solid potential for that.
I have him as my wide receiver 15, I believe, in our ranks. So a little above that. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I honestly, I believe him and CD both can finish right there in that top 15. So, in that offense, I'm not fading. I don't know that I'm fading anybody in that offense, and I'm not a Cowboys fan. It's a great offense. Like, so I don't think I'm gonna fade Cooper. If we're talking dynasty, then yeah, absolutely. I think he's gonna end up being the odd man out personally. But that has more to do with age and contracts and stuff that has nothing to do with what's on the field. But for redraft, I don't think I can fade him. So this is the one that surprised me that Steve threw out there.
Now, in Dynasty, he could be the odd man out, but I believe Dallas said contract negotiations with Gallup are off, this season. They're waiting to the offseason. Now, if they wait to the offseason, if he has a decent year, they're not going to franchise him. So he might, unless they work something out right after the season ends, he's going to get offers from somewhere else that might want him as their wide receiver 2 or maybe their wide receiver 1. If that happens, Dallas has to keep Cooper. They're not letting Cooper go. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Cooper is gone. Like I think it's at least 50-50 that it's Gallup.
Okay.
They're not going to franchise him,
Yep.
If someone makes him a good offer, he's got to take it. If I was Dallas, I'd be trying to lock him up in season so that it doesn't go to that. But if they're not, that makes you think they probably are comfortable with sticking with Cooper and Lamb, so just something to think about. All right. Speaking of Dallas, let's move on to this next guy, Matt at FF_Doormat. He is one half of the Down Under Dynasty, and he is fading Skinny Zeke. He never fades players, only their ADP. In Dynasty, he's so he's one half of the Down Under Dynasty. So we talked redraft this episode. he's talking dynasty. He's fading skinny Zeke at his ADP. I thought we were supposed to let him eat. So I guess, he's skinny. That was a joke. I get it. Let him eat. He would be skinny if he's eating. I get it. He's going ahead of Gibson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire at current sleeper ADP, who I both have higher. And he hopes he's wrong because he really is hopes for a massive year for Dak and Zeke. And so he's fading him long term. And I get it. I'd be fading him long term as well. He's got a lot of tread on the tires from back at Ohio State, now in Dallas. He's not a guy, 2 or 3 year window going forward. I think Zeke is going to perform. And some people play dynasty in those windows. But if you're thinking long term, I'd still take him over Edwards-Helaire, probably. But Gibson it'd be tough. It'd definitely be tough. But for a redraft, Zeke is, I want to say he's like running back 6 or 7. And it's pretty fine for me. But Justin, what are your thoughts on this?
This one surprises me. Matt, this is a bad call, but it's not your fault. You are our dynasty guy. We don't expect this of you in redraft, but I get to read the joke in the show notes here. And I got to tell you, Matt, it would have went over really well if you could have been here to deliver it. It was the delivery. It was a great joke. It really was. But no. So as far as Zeke goes, I think one thing that we're forgetting here is that in redraft, typical redrafts, especially like this time of year, people that are listening are more of your casual players. Most of those leagues are going to be 1 quarterback leagues, so you got to go running back heavy. Again, just like I've talked about with Derrick Henry and other running backs on the show, like I'm not fading any of the top guys that are workhorses. And even though Pollard gets his in at the end of the game in garbage time, that garbage time happens because Zeke does what Zeke does during the rest of the game. So I cannot fade Zeke personally.
All right, this next player that he's fading is Elijah Moore. And the reason he's fading Elijah Moore is he's fading him in redraft, so he's sticking to the topic here. He loves the player and what the Jets are doing, but the hype is a little loud right now. And I think he takes half a season to find his feet. And you know what? I was all in on Elijah Moore. I was. I don't think I'm all out, but I'm somewhere in the middle. So I'm fading him more than I was earlier, but I was also very high on him. So I think I'm probably right in the middle. I'm not a complete fade, but it's funny. I was just popping up some stuff in the background while you were talking, and I go to Twitter, and the first person on my Twitter feed is Elijah Moore, and he's holding a book, and the book is called Relentless. So maybe that's a sign from the fantasy gods to not fade Elijah Moore. But anyway, Matt is fading him. Corey Davis is emerging. Zach Wilson looks like a stud, so that could affect it as well. But that could also help Elijah Moore because now he doesn't have to be the one. So, what are your thoughts on Elijah Moore here, Justin?
I agree with Matt on this one. There's a lot of reasons to love the guy for Dynasty. There's a lot of reasons to enjoy watching him right now this season. But there's also a lot of reasons why we should be skeptic in redraft formats. So this one makes a lot of sense to me.
All right, Justin, your fades are the last ones left. So why don't you go ahead and tell me who your fades are?
All right, so my first fade is Jalen Hurts. I know that it may not be a popular one for some people, but it might make a lot of sense to a lot of people too. I guess it just depends on how you're drafting, but his ADP right now is the quarterback 10 overall. And that's primarily because of his rushing ability in my mind. I think that's why a lot of people are taking that chance at him. But for where he's being drafted at with the depth that you have at quarterback, you could easily just wait a little bit longer and get you a Kirk Cousins, a Baker Mayfield, or a Matt Ryan as that second quarterback, or even as your only quarterback in 1 quarterback leagues, because you don't need quarterbacks in 1 quarterback leagues. And instead, if you wait a little longer and take one of those quarterbacks, you can get yourself a nice little Jerry Jeudy or a decent T. Higgins or that cushion with Zach Moss that could easily be a top 12 running back if there's a Singletary injury. So you have a chance to go big or go home with that 7th round pick rather than taking that chance with Jalen Hurts to have a second year bump. Man,
people are taking Jalen Hurts a lot higher than I expected in redraft. Yeah. Like, people are really thinking I feel like they're taking him higher than they have to. I feel like there's only one in the leagues I've been in. Like, every league, there's seems like one guy who's in on Jalen Hurts. I definitely think you can wait on him. There's too much risk there. I don't really know what that offense is going to look like. I don't really know what Jalen Hurts is going to look like. I think he's going to have good weeks, but he's not a guy I want as my quarterback one. Maybe as a bye week replacement or guy when he has good matchups or when he catches the wave. If he's riding the wave, you know what I mean? Like he's producing, he's got a few good weeks, put him in. But then once you start to get the sense that it's going out, take him out. Like he's not a guy who's going to be a regular weekly starter. You should not draft him as such.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But unfortunately, you can't draft him for that purpose because of what you said before, how people are jumping ahead early. So it's either you're taking a chance on him or you're not getting him at all. So.
Right. Get it.
My last one here is Melvin Gordon. It's been very noted that I've always been very underappreciative of Melvin Gordon's abilities. So I kind of feel bad that I'm always ripping on the guy, but for fantasy purposes, he has been great in the past. But this one is primarily for the casual redraft players out there because this one's a little bit more obvious for dynasty guys. The casual guys, you see a guy like Melvin Gordon that almost always gets the majority of the workload almost every season. It's even when it's not really planned that way. It's just like injuries just happen and they tend to fall in his favor, and he tends to get a huge workload through most of the season. But I feel like that's all been blind luck. I don't think they've always planned, not just the Broncos, but also the Chargers. They even brought in Danny Woodhead to take a lot of the workload from him, and he got injured early in the season, if you remember. Like it always just, that luck tends to fall his way. And I got to feel like there's a reason that the teams are always trying to find someone else. And I think it's because he's not that effective outside of that goal line. He does find a way to score touchdowns. Last year, he had 64% of the snap share, and he only finished as the RB21 overall in PPR. 64% of the snap share at running back is a huge number. That's really pushing total workhorse numbers for fantasy purposes. And now he's got a little bit of a Javonte Williams problem, and Williams scored 22 touchdowns in 11 games at UNC last season. I know it's college, it's different opponents, different competition, but still he has a way of finding the end zone himself. So that's 22 touchdowns in 11 games. That's like 2 per game, I believe, if I'm doing the math right. So Gordon's ADP is currently just below that of Williams, which I feel is right, and they're both rightfully right around that 26 to 29 range. So just don't fall for Melvin Gordon of the past if you are a casual owner and you're drafting your team and you feel like you're going to get that 60 to 70% workload, because it's not going to happen. And I honestly don't think that he's necessarily going to get all the goal line looks as well. And I believe firmly that Javonte is a better receiver out of the backfield as well. So
I think Javonte Williams is a league winner, because he is a guy who might not start out the gate getting all the touches. They might be more comfortable with Melvin Gordon. But as Denver starts to establish what their offense is, Javonte Williams, so the cream's going to rise to the top. And Javonte Williams is going to essentially get there, and then down the stretch, he's going to be that guy. So I expect Javonte Williams to have a great second half of the season. So Melvin Gordon is a guy that I think is going to be splitting touches in the early goings, and then it's going to lose a lot of touches. So, yeah, you cannot draft him to be an RB1 or RB2. I don't even know if I'd be comfortable with him as a flex play unless we're getting a point per carry. Yes.
Did this just happen, or is this somebody calling it?
It just happened. The Rams have traded for Sony Michel.
Wow. Damn it. I wonder if that says more about the Darrell Henderson recent thumb injury, or if it says more about they just want depth. Man, I wonder.
Michael can't the dude. Just don't answer any questions unless you were buying Darrell Henderson.
I was everywhere.
Then the Rams aren't sold on him. But
exactly.
Sony Michel, dude's got wet tissue for limbs, like knees and ankles, and I don't think he's going to stay healthy. This isn't the answer you were looking for. What's that meme that by Obi-Wan Kenobi? This is not the droid you were looking for. Sony Michel is not the answer you were looking for. Go somewhere, whatever. But so Mike Jernigan question: did the window to sell Darrell sounds like from who are those? The Brothers Grimm. That sounds like a bad guy from the Brothers Grimm, Durendal. But did the window to sell Darrell Henderson just close? Not sure how much Sony Michel moves the needle. Interesting move, though. Maybe says more about the depth guys than Henderson. Go on, Justin. Why don't you talk about this, and I'll see if I can find what they traded him for.
Yeah, no. So I was buying Darrell Henderson all offseason, even before the Cam Akers injury, because I believe in that talent. But man, this one kind of hurts me. But because I agree with what you're saying about his limbs being like wet tissue or whatever it was you said. But at the same time, I've always liked Sony Michel too, and I feel like if he does get the right if he can stay healthy, he might have an opportunity to really take a workload off of Darrell, which may not be totally bad. Now that I'm really stopping to think about it, like Henderson may not be built to be an every down back. So
you're really selling yourself. You're really selling yourself.
I'm trying to talk myself into it because I'm probably going to try to sell all my Darrell Henderson. So anybody watching, I want them to think he's going to be good.
Yeah. I like Durandal a lot better. So let's just go. Can we just Darrell? He's brother's groom adversary. All right. So they traded 2 picks. We don't know what the 2 picks yet, but Damian Harris season again. Not that I was concerned about Sony Michel. It's Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, but Damian Harris is a guy who I am buying at his ADP. People are sleeping on Damian Harris, so go buy you some Damian Harris. If he's your 3rd running back, you're in great shape. You are.
Man, we just said 2 days ago on the last episode, I was just talking about how impressed I was with Ramondre Stevenson too. Like that dude, he looks amazing right now. So it's if they.
Justin kind of cut out a little bit there, but he is buying all the Ramondre Stevenson, and maybe you should be too. But I'm all in on Damian Harris this season. I think at least this year he's going to be the back to own there. All right, and that kind of. Well, you got something to say before?
I have to cut out. I got to get my kid to school, so we're already 2 minutes late. So, but thanks for having me on again, and I'm sure you can take over from here. Appreciate you, bud.
Drive safe, man. All right, so today's episode was brought to you by Primetime Sports Talk, your top source for all major sports content, including DFS, fantasy advice, and great gambling tips. Be sure to head to primetimesportstalk.com to check out their in-depth analysis, exclusive articles, fascinating interviews, and explore the rest of their amazing podcast family. Again, primetimesportstalk.com, your go-to spot for sports content. Follow me on the Twitter at Coach Shep. Send me any and all fantasy football questions. I will help you out. Follow the show at Toilets to Titles. Become a member of our Patreon, patreon.com/Toilets to Titles to get into the Toilets to Titles Discord group chat. There's going to be a lot of good fantasy advice in there. Go to toiletstotitles.com. Hit the like button on these episodes. Subscribe, comment. All of that is greatly appreciated. And if you get a chance, go to Apple Podcast. Throw us a 5-star review. We are really hoping we can help you out this season. All right, so we wish you all good luck. Again, if you're drafting, if you have any questions, let us know. This was our fades episode. I did my dudes and value 2 episodes ago. So if you want to pair that with this, go back and listen to episode 76. And then Friday night, we're going to be going live with Shane Hallam to discuss his new website. So Shane's got a lot going on. We're going to talk about that website draft countdown. We're going to talk about his latest mock. So stick with us. We got a lot going on. We'll be talking to you soon. Take care. Have a good week.